Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bite Size Panel Edition, where we take a quick but deep look at the human condition at home, at work, everywhere. I'm your host, show creator, animator, and MAPS business coach, Peter K. Weiner. And today we have a panel of two joining us. We are here to discuss today's topic du jour, which I will reveal shortly. But first, I'd like to welcome Gia Buonagoro and Jake Clendenning to today's Bite Size panel. Gia, in a few sentences, can you tell us what you do?
Sure. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in Los Angeles. I've been working with clients for about 15 years. Over those years, I've been slowly adding into my practice some of the modalities that have helped me personally. So I sort of branch out now into using yogic wisdom, Eastern philosophy, astrology. I'm a certified meditation teacher. I'm a certified flower essence practitioner. So I'm finding that people are becoming a little more sophisticated. And so they need just a little bit more than traditional stuff. I use EMDR and somatic experiencing work to work with people who have experienced trauma, which is like all of us, different degrees. And that incorporates the body. So I'm excited about bringing the body, mind, spirit triune into the work and really working toward healing and growth.
Fantastic. And, you know, I've known Gia for many years and I've worked with her in different ways. And it's amazing the way you incorporate all these different modalities and smoothly. You know, you're listing them off, but when working with Gia, it's really very smooth. It all just kind of connects and it's really working with the person, which I really appreciate. All right. And Jake, tell us about yourself.
Hey, thanks, Peter. I'm really excited that Gia's on the panel today. This is going to give a little feminine perspective to where we usually tend to run a little heavier on the guy side. So that's going to be really, really fun today. So yes, I'm Jake Clendenning. I'm a MAPS transformational business coach. I'm also an NLP master practitioner, among some other things. I have a whole long list of letters behind my name most people just don't care about. But those are the ones that kind of apply to what we're working with today. And thanks for having me back. I'm really excited. This is a really enjoyable experience to get to spend this time and really, you know, you take a 3-minute video and really unpack it in a really deep level. It's very impactful. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it is fun, and I'm so glad that you two are here today, and we will get to it. Today's snippet is entitled Following Footsteps. Now, we've all had our own experiences with following in someone else's footsteps, and perhaps it means something a little different for everyone. Let's take a look at this and then reconvene. Okay, let's roll it. Can you think of a time when you wanted to follow in somebody's footsteps? Maybe it was an awesome aunt or a friend that you thought was really cool, or maybe even a celebrity. And there was something about them that you wanted to emulate. You wanted to pick up on their style or pick up on the way they did things. You wanted to absorb who they were. It's only natural that when you see something that you like, you want to emulate it. And though sometimes it can be as simple as a hairstyle or a clothing line, other times it can run a little deeper. 30 years ago, I was directing a play that I wrote for a small theater company, and I asked a photographer friend to come and take pictures of the rehearsals. Bill was a great photographer, a fantastic drummer, and a skilled amateur boxer. But to my surprise, when he saw what I was doing, he became intrigued. He asked me, "How do you know how to do all that?" I wouldn't know where to begin. "Can you teach me?" I was shocked by this because to me, what I was doing was perfectly normal within my skill set. We are both products of our individual experiences, driven by unique and personal and even random things. So I don't think I could have taught Bill to be a director, playwright, any more than he could teach me to be a drummer, boxer, photographer. The bottom line is, people cannot be blueprinted. This rule applies even more when the roles are reversed. Parents sometimes expect their kids to become mini versions of themselves, whether it be career, sports, or even lifestyle. Even if you put all of your time and energy into molding a mini-me, your subject will have different experiences and results than you did, no matter how hard you force it. And be careful what you wish for. There's an inherent underlying competitive nature to creating someone just like you. What if they end up being better than you at everything? How would your fragile ego handle that? So, whether you're comparing yourself to others, perhaps beating yourself up because by the time the Beatles were 20, they were a world phenomenon, and at 37, your garage band still can't get a gig at the local hole in the wall. Or trying to be somebody's Svengali. I know that if I just keep throwing this turtle in the air, that eventually he'll be able to fly just like me. They will never be you, nor you them. Remember, you can't follow in somebody's footsteps without living in their shadow. All right, so let's open it up and dive a little deeper into this. Enough of me. I want to hear from you guys. So let's start with Gia. She's the new lady in town. What is your key takeaway from this?
Well, my key takeaway was it seemed like the video was trying to communicate to the audience that beware of emulating others, beware of some of the pitfalls of what could happen if you are following in someone's footsteps. I'm probably going to challenge that premise today.
Okay.
So I'll stop there for now with my response.
Oh, wow. I was getting excited for a challenge. Okay. But
Wait, no. I'm going to continue to challenge, but I want to give Jake the floor.
No, I know the challenge is coming. Yeah. Okay. So before the challenge, Jake, what is your takeaway?
See, that's just bait, man. You can't do that to me because I was ready. I was ready to grab that one. So my big takeaway from that one, and then I started listening to G a little bit. I'm going to challenge it too around that, because a lot of what we talk about in coaching is models and systems, right? So we know from a coaching perspective that it's been done before, right? Just about everything that we can talk about in coaching that's related to business, time blocking, take your pick, profit and loss, those things, they've been done before. And there's a model that somebody has done really, really, really well. So what do? We model after them. So that, to me, this spoke in two different places, right? I can go get a haircut that looks just like Gia's. I could do that. I don't think it would look good on me, but I could totally go do that. And I could emulate what she is, but I'm never going to be able to emulate her personality, right? That who she truly is at the core. Now, on the surface level, we all do things that have been done before, and Peter does things better than I do in some aspects. And he could teach me in a model standpoint to do exactly those things, though I would put my own spin on some of those things. So for me, my big takeaway was that it was the same as Gia's. I wanted to challenge it a little bit I don't feel that it's true, because there are models and systems that we can copy and follow in the footsteps of those that have been successful before us.
Okay. I'm going to respond to that very quickly because I don't want to get too into it, but I'm going to say you and I have been trained on the same models and systems in coaching, yet we are not compatible with the same clients. So I would argue that our life experiences and our talents and who we are cannot be taught through models. And I think whether maybe I didn't express that point clearly enough in the video, and that's a possibility. But I think the idea is that we can't carbon copy our essence. We can't carbon copy who we are. We can take on some of the skills and we can follow some of the same models, but I'm not going to be the same coach that you are. We can both be good coaches and we can both be successful and effective coaches. But I think my point is we're not going to be the same coach. And if we try to be the same coach, we're going to lose something in the process. That's my response to that. Okay, moving on. All right, Gia. So what came up for you that you did not expect?
I think, well, something that came up for me that I didn't expect that also made me giggle was there was a piece that sort of toward the end of the video, you said, what if the person that you groomed does better than you? How would your fragile ego take that? And I thought, great question. It was also just funny, the delivery, which I appreciated the levity there that you brought. I think it's worth considering, like, what am I endeavoring to do? And what aspects of myself am I enlisting to go in this direction? And who am I allowing to be my inspiration for this? I think it's actually quite important to have inspiring figures in one's life, because I think that what we're talking about is quite a complex issue, both from a Western psychology standpoint as well as from an Eastern philosophy yogic perspective. In both systems, where there is a complement, is that there is this essential self that you speak of. And so when you say that you and Jake are both coaches, but coach in different ways, absolutely. And I think that speaks to that deeper piece of one's essential self. There are certain characteristics and qualities that we come in with that make me uniquely me, that make you uniquely you. These are things we want to explore, become curious about, investigate, so that we come into alignment with our integrity, our purpose, you could say. And I think that, and I'm saying that that's a bridge, that concept bridges between both Western psychology and Eastern philosophy. So that's a nice, seamless, unarguable bridge. I think, however, that if we just rest in that space, we're not quite living up to our potential. And I think that that's the line, right? That's the growing edge, as we say in the biz, where we want to continue to always be curious about who I am in an essential self way, and how can I expand and bring my gifts to the world and build upon some things that I just don't know, and I might not learn in my family. I might have to go outside into the world, meet people, become inspired, take risks, fall on my face, get back up again. And so this is that's where I felt a little bit of a little rub, where I said, I want to challenge that. And so I think there's an inherent desire to emulate people that you respect and admire. And I don't see a problem with that. I see that as becoming a layer that I can bring into the self that enriches what I'm already in contact with in myself.
Well, I'm glad you went deeper into this, because, obviously in the 3 minutes, what I was looking at was trying to carbon copy, and I'm not putting down, I'll go to the end of the video where I'm talking about Svengali.
Mhm.
If you want somebody to be your Svengali, that's one thing. I'm talking about the Svengali wanting to mold someone. I was looking at it from that perspective. But I'm glad you brought up the other perspective, because if you decided that you were a tortoise that wanted to fly, and you found a tortoise that knew how to fly, that tortoise could teach you how to fly.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I think the point I was trying to make was the tortoise doesn't necessarily want to fly, but there's someone trying to force them to do it. So I guess it's about drinking the Kool-Aid and trying to bend yourself into a mold.
I would say that from that perspective, it would become an exploration of where is the sense of self, where is the will, where is the agency, why is a person allowing someone else to Svengali them?
Right. And which perspective are you looking at it through? Their eyes or the Svengali's eyes?
Right.
And from your perspective in the video, and so now what comes up for me is I did watch the video from my perspective of who do I need to emulate? It wasn't from the perspective of I need to force that, for Star Trek fans, the Borg, on somebody else, right? I need to go that direction. So I heard it from the perspective of coming from me. And then when Gia mentioned, who am I allowing to, inspire me and mentor me? What is my individuality? So I was looking at that. And as we talk more about that tortoise, that'd be the difference between coaching and consulting.
Right.
Think about that, right? So coaching is, and the same from the therapist side is, let's work on you. Let's find out what we need to know, and being that vessel, versus the consultant is, here's the problem. Let me prescribe a fix. Here's the thing you need to do because this has worked for me in the past, and I'm going to tell you to go do that, which may not work for you because you're not me. So so I'm seeing it from both perspectives now, and I didn't see it from that consultant perspective prior.
And it links therapy and coaching as well, that it is about seeing where the person's at and working with that, instead of trying to say, hey, with mentoring or with consulting, oh, well, this worked for me and this is how I did it, so do it this way and you will be me. And we all know that it doesn't necessarily work that way. So where has this shown up for you or your clients on either side of it?
Oh, I would say this is a subject that comes up frequently. I would say it's pervasive in relationships, especially. So certainly in business, I mean, if clients are coming in and there's like an executive managerial relationship, we know how that can sometimes go, where the executive is really just saying like, do it this way, I'm not interested in your ideas, and how crushing that can be for a person. And then on the flip side, on the more personal end, I think there's an actual unconscious expectation from both men and women in relationship, whether it's romantic or non-romantic, to be what the other person wants me to be, to second guess what they want me to be. And then that's a real like web, because then I'm guessing at what I think they want and trying to be this idea that I have of what they want, if you follow. So I think it's actually quite pervasive. I think there's, when you look at it from a psychodynamic, psychoanalytic perspective, meaning focusing on the dynamics that people grow up with, it's inherent, right? Because we want to like please mommy or please daddy. The point is at some point to establish autonomy and move out of that. I would say that it's common. I would say that if someone finds themselves either being kind of, we're going to say Svengali'd or dominated, to understand it's quite natural and normal. And when we look at it from a human nature perspective, we want to go for a more lateral dynamic when we're relating. Yeah. But it's not always there.
Yeah, and that brings up a really interesting point, because I've noticed with me and with friends and just observing, people will take on the personalities of the people they're communicating with. They'll take on some of the characteristics, and it may not even be conscious. So I'm going to go back to Gia just real quickly, and then I'll get to you, Jake. But Gia's the therapist, so I want to ask this: where is the healthy line there?
I think it's okay when it's additive, when it helps you stay creative, and when it's your choice. I think it's okay. I think when you start feeling like, hey, Peter, ha, 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 and you kind of go like, that's not funny, that's dumb. Then it's like, oh, okay. I think we have to really listen. I think we have to listen on the inside to ourselves. And each person defines that line for themselves. But I think that when you start to feel oppressed, when you start to feel like you're not free to speak, when you start to feel it's a should instead of a want to, that might be yellow zone. Eek.
Yeah, that's a great line. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. So Jake, now I don't remember the question. Oh yes, where has this shown up for you and your clients?
As Gia was talking, just how she started to unpack that, I was having like, it was really rolling backwards through history of, when does that hit me, and when did that hit me, and when did that hit me? It shows up a lot, to Gia's point. It shows up a lot, right? Pervasive, I think, is a great word to use. I've had coaches in the past that were consultants to me, right? It was not about me. It had nothing to do with me. They wanted me to be them. They succeeded in a very specific way, and they came to the calls or the conversation with an agenda of converting me into them. It was highly uncomfortable. We made zero progress. We got nowhere. I became distant. I pushed back from the conversation, and it didn't fly. So that has happened frequently and many other little times, but that one is one that specifically sticks out, and it's why I have created how I coach in a very specific way, because I am very much in touch with that, how that made me feel at the time.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. And and that feeling of wanting to pull back and actually being relieved when a session is canceled because he's like, I don't want to deal with this person. So that's an excellent red flag. And and that person has lost perspective of who you are and where you're going. So yeah, that's
And
an
also perhaps of that person has lost perspective on what their role is.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are they trying to emulate? Who are they trying to be where they're not showing up as a genuine coach?
Or see, now I would say now, who are they not emulating? What inspiring person have they lost sight of? So they've become like maybe more of a dominant person, but is that what inspired them? I would say probably not. It's not inspiring to feel dominated. Um,
Yeah, and it sounds like they've switched to a winning losing control kind of relationship, which is the opposite of what therapy and coaching is supposed to be.
yeah.
It's supposed to be
Something Gia just mentioned that I want to bring a little light to, because I think it's a really, really important part. We talk a lot about, we've all heard this before, right? You're a product of the 5 people that you're around. We've talked about that. Everybody's heard that statement. And we always talk about, who do you need to be? Who do you need to find? Gia made a point of, who did you forget about?
Mm.
Somebody that's not in your life anymore that initially inspired you. And I thought, man, that really that brought some thoughts up to me. It was like, man, I've moved past them. I moved them off, but why? Why aren't they still in that group of 5? Because they were the ones that started me down this. That's a really powerful thought for me, in just what she said there. So I'm grateful for that.
Sure. And actually, you said something that sparked a thought for me, which was, I think to summarize what you were saying earlier, it's sort of like when you were talking about your experience of someone being a little too domineering with you or directive with you, we can say, it reminded me of the phrase, we don't always remember what people say, but we do always remember how people made us feel.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all great points. So let me ask one last question. Who have you or someone you know modeled yourself after, and how did that go?
So I've emulated myself after my grandfather, who I revere and honor deeply. I've modeled my work after actually not psychotherapists, but more like holistic therapists have been very inspiring to me and models for me. And I guess when I say model, it's like, again, there's someone I'm thinking of specifically who has passed, who is deeply inspiring to me. And it wasn't like, I'm going to do my practice the way she does her practice. It was like, wow, this woman is accomplished. And yet she's human. She's approachable. Her wisdom is like infinite. And she's really of service. So it's a quality, it's like, I would say I grab qualities from people that really touch me. And then I bring that forward as I add it to my little box of goodies.
Excellent answer. I love how you brought that into the accumulation of getting what you revere, what you respect, and choosing to make that a part of what you do and who you are. That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree, man. That was beautiful. One of my favorite words she used there was quality, not just a quality, but like the overall quality of the person, right? Taking them as a complete and a whole, in that, not just the, well, I like this one thing you do, I'm going to steal that. But the one person that you revere, very strong language, and that made me think about that. And one of the people in my life, now passed, is my dad. I don't call him my father because that's a totally different relationship, right? Father, dad. Yeah, my dad. And the quality of who my dad was is, yeah, if I can, we've all heard that, if I could be half the man that he was, kind of thing. We've heard that statement. And yet in this instance, in a lot of pieces, that's true. The quality of the man that he was, I like to carry that forward. So that's one of those people. And I am, and I'll say it again, I'm really grateful Gia is here today, because this is provoking some new thought patterns that have gone from a while. So this is nice. This is very refreshing. to think about in some different perspectives. So that's very cool.
So at the risk of sounding like a therapist, this conversation is like a meta of the topic, right? So like we are actually inspiring each other in this conversation as we talk about inspirational people. Like I'm inspired by Jake, and I'm inspired by you, Peter, and I'm inspired by the topic. So like this conversation is an example of the line that you were asking about. Like there's Jake is Jake and I'm me and you're you, and we're exchanging ideas and information. We're allowing ourselves to be inspired, and we're also holding on to who we are. There's no pressure to be someone else. I mean, I'm not feeling like I need to be a coach. I don't think you guys are feeling like you need to be a therapist. We're stimulating each other through discourse.
Yeah.
And I think this is an example of the thing we're talking about, right?
And what you just said is an example of you floating in that spiritual plane where you can see things from a different perspective and actually see how it's all connected in ways that we can't see. I just wanted to ask Jake one question real quickly, and then we'll wrap up. You respected your father, your dad, we'll say your dad. You respected your dad greatly and were very much influenced by him. What do you feel his expectation of you was?
One of the things and it came to absolute fruition through some different stuff that we worked on, was he just wanted me to be free, right? He just wanted me to be free to who I am in this conversation, free to be my own personal self, respect my individuality, to not have to go chase other people's expectations of who I needed to be. And that was that, and tremendous hardworking man, right? Never was I at want. And we were poor enough that I could easily have been for want of anything. But I never felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
That was the quality of the man that brought that to me, to go, no one around me is going to feel that way either.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I would have liked to have known your father. He sounds like he was a great guy.
Great guy.
So I just want to thank Gia and Jake for being on our panel today. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. We will be back again next week to explore your secret sauce.
Ooh.
What makes you you, and why does it work? And I will see you all then. Thank you so much, guys. Loved having you here.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jake. This was really nice.
She is very much a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here today.